Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Maria. If you watch this video and you enjoy it, don't be shy, hit that like button, subscribe to my channel for any future videos on narcissistic abuse recovery and complex post-traumatic stress disorder. Today I want to talk to my scapegoat friends and family out there, and I want to talk to you in case you may be suffering with something like I am called fearful avoidance. So usually I lay out the format of my YouTube video in advance and it makes it easier to organize my thoughts, but I am coming to you in complete vulnerability today, and I want to talk to you about a struggle that I've been facing that maybe you've been facing as well, and you can't put your finger on it, and you've been blaming yourself and thinking that something is wrong with you, which may be a core wound that you have been carrying since childhood. And that thing I'm talking about is being fearful avoidant. So there are lots of videos on YouTube that you can look up about our different attachment styles that we can have, whether it's the anxious attachment, the avoidant, the fearful avoidant, or maybe you're one of the lucky ones and you have a secure attachment style. But for those of us that struggle with our attachment style, this one is for specifically the scapegoats of narcissistic triangulation who feel as if they have a fearful avoidant attachment style. You know, it was 2020 when I realized, I had my last narcissistic relationship. Somebody said to me, hey, maybe they were a narcissist, and that kind of got the ball rolling, watching a million YouTube videos, trying to figure out what a narcissist is. Why do I keep getting into relationships with these types of people? And then going into my childhood and saying, oh yeah, because it's familiar to me, right? So then it doesn't just stop there. You have to look into healing from the long-term emotional abuse. And sometimes we have what we call complex post-traumatic stress disorder because of that long-term emotional abuse. Whether it's the emotional neglect, whether it's the sweeping things under a rug when you're a child, whether it's the emotional unavailability of a parent when you're in need of someone to be there for you, or maybe it was bullying, or maybe all of these things. So you land into your adult life and you have complex post-traumatic stress disorder, and you're dealing with sometimes social anxiety. Maybe you're self-abandoning, or you have become a people pleaser. Maybe you have the toxic shame and you've attached the shame that you felt in childhood to your identity. You tell yourself stories about yourself. You have these wounds, the wound of abandonment, the wound of shame, the wound of what's wrong with me. Maybe you have emotional flashbacks and things are triggering you in your adult life because they remind you of a time you were in your childhood and you felt those types of feelings. And maybe in most cases you have this negative inner critic that's telling you stories as to who you are, and I'm not good enough, and I'm not smart enough, and I'm never gonna heal. So we have these wounds that live inside of our inner child, and we just grow up around them. We become adults and we develop complex post-traumatic stress disorder. And here's the part that I'm going to get very vulnerable with you about. I figured out in 2020, that was 4 years ago, 4.5 years ago, that I had complex post-traumatic stress disorder. I was never told this by a therapist. I've been in therapy my entire life. I figured this out on my own because of the patterns, because of the way I felt inside, because of the patterns in my relationships and the people I was attracted to and who I was attracting. So after watching the YouTube videos, joining support groups, working with a therapist, working with a coach, and then eventually starting my own support group that I run for women who have gone through long-term emotional abuse, the books, the activities, the work, the daily work, right? So after 4 years, you get to a point where you feel these pockets of peace. You feel like you have arrived. You have arrived at your place of I am healed. And you can navigate through the world without getting triggered all the time. You can be in the present. You don't have the ruminating thoughts anymore. you feel good, you know? There are times of overwhelm, and there are times where you don't have peace in your life, but you know that those times aren't going to consume you, and they're not going to cause you to ruminate for days or months. They're just things that are happening in your life at the present moment, and you're able to move past them. Okay, so you have arrived at your place of healing, and then you try to incorporate a intimate relationship into your life, okay? And you are now operating out of a space where you are trying to understand attachment and why it's difficult for you to attach to certain people. So let's talk about how scapegoats can move into that avoidant, the fearful avoidant attachment style. In this video, I'm going to talk about something that is close to my heart, which is being a fearful avoidant. Now, although I spent all that time healing from the complex post-traumatic stress disorder, which I am extremely proud of doing, right? Because that was so much work to get to that place of being able to find the pockets of peace. I then tried to incorporate a intimate relationship into my life. And then we move into these attachment styles. Although we may heal from one thing, it doesn't necessarily mean that we have healed our attachment style, okay? This is something that is new to me, and it's something that is different that I'm now going to have to work on. Understanding that I'm avoidant and I am fearful avoidant means that I know that I have a hard time connecting in intimate relationships. It's very hard for me to be able to understand that people need reassurance from other people. People need validation, and they need things that I have been able to give myself over the years. Now, how is it that somebody becomes fearful avoidant? Well, when you were a child or an adolescent, you may have had needs, emotional needs, that you spoke of or you talked about, and they weren't met, or they were shrugged off, or you were made to think that you were an inconvenience if you had these emotional needs. This especially in, the teenage years where your hormones are all over the place and you have this inner turmoil, and maybe you were bullied, and whatever it was, you needed your parent or caretaker to validate the feelings that you had. But when a parent or caretaker is emotionally unavailable and they're not able to be there for you during that time, you tend to internalize all of those feelings and understand that someone is not going to be there to save you. Someone is not going to be able to validate you. And this struggle inside of having that anxiety and having those fears and having that worry and having all of this go on, but you have to figure it out yourself. You don't have anyone around you that supports you, and a lot of times you are going to lean on yourself and not tell people about the struggles that are going on in your life, but instead just say, I'm going to work on this myself. I'm going to fix this myself. So all the years pass by and you realize you have been working on and fixing yourself your whole life, and it's very difficult to allow other people into your life who have needs and have wants and need the validation and all of that, when you provided all of that for yourself and you don't ask for help from other people. So it's hard to incorporate two lives together when you have been doing everything yourself, and then someone needs something from you that you were able to provide for yourself. I know this is a different kind of video than I normally make. It's not the information of me spewing this out there to you. I'm really trying to grow and learn with you in this process. If you are a scapegoat and you are someone that's fearful avoidant, but I just want to understand so that maybe this validates you. In a fearful avoidant, the way that it shows up in my world is that I am able to start a relationship. I am able to get to know someone. I enjoy it. I can let my guard down. I can be vulnerable with the person. I enjoy getting to know them. I think they're a wonderful person. I am there to support them and, you know, everything else. But then they get too close. And when they get too close, the hypervigilance kicks in and you start watching everything. You want them to be as stable as possible. And you also remember you are coming from that core wound of rejection. So you don't want to be rejected, but sometimes you self-sabotage. You can sabotage relationships. But something very important that I want to explain to you is there is a difference between consciously self-sabotaging a relationship and feeling such discomfort inside that the only feeling that you have, the only safe thing for you to do is to leave. Now, I know a fearful avoidant, it comes across to someone else as very push and pull. Like, I like you so much and, oh, you got too close. I need to back up and I need my space alone. You get your space alone and you're like, oh, I'm happy. I like you so much. And then all of a sudden you're like, whoa, this isn't right. And, you know, something goes off in the relationship. I need to back up. And this comes across as someone else as, this hot and this cold treatment. And I understand that that isn't fair to have to feel that. But for the fearful avoidant, they're not doing that consciously. They're not doing that to hurt the person. They're doing that to protect themselves, because what you do on the outside, when someone, say with an anxious attachment style, feels anxious and they overthink and they people please and all of that, that you can actually see on the outside. A fearful avoidant is actually doing these things on the inside, right? So they feel dysregulated inside. They feel like they want to run. They maybe get the ick. They just need time by themselves. You just can't see it, right? So a fearful avoidant is going through all of these things, which is why they're not able to lean into the relationship. They have to pull back from the relationship because of the dysregulation that's going on inside of their body is causing that, the dysregulation is causing the anxiety inside of their body, and they don't feel as if they have a choice anymore. They need to retract. They need to back away from the relationship. The relationship is getting too close. So if you are someone who is a scapegoat of your family, did have emotionally distant parents, do find it hard to connect in intimate relationships with other people, and you maybe have taken an attachment style quiz online, which there are many, or you are just wondering, you know, like, why can't you connect with people, and you're doing a lot of beating yourself up, then understand that I'm right here with you, my friends, okay? So if you are someone that's a fearful avoidant, I just want you to understand that this isn't a diagnosis. This isn't something that is going to feed into the there's something wrong with me wound that you've already healed or you're on your way to healing. Okay, we're not gonna do that. This is something that we're gonna work through. This is something that we're gonna work on, and we're gonna work hard on this. Because if anyone deserves secure love in life, it is us scapegoats. Okay, so I'm gonna be posting some videos here and there on my journey. I'm going to be working with a psychotherapist on healing the fearful avoidant attachment style. I'm gonna do my homework just like I did healing from the complex post-traumatic stress disorder. And I'm gonna give this my all. And I'm gonna come back to you with videos on the healing process from being a fearful avoidant to hopefully having a secure attachment style. So stay tuned. If this is something that you're struggling with and you are looking for someone to talk to, I do have a psychotherapist that I can recommend. Just drop a note in the comments. And I want to thank you so much in advance for your support that you give me on this channel. And thank you for listening to me and holding space for my vulnerability. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, don't be shy, hit that like button, subscribe to my channel for any future videos on narcissistic abuse recovery and complex post-traumatic stress disorder. And as always, I wish you all the love in the world.